Crossing the world of the Feng Da Men, Chu Linyang said there is no problem with it. What? There are also the heavens and all realms behind. Send it. Travel through the heavens and appreciate different landscapes. Yi Fan. Ah, is this my heavenly emperor's vehicle is racing? Have you paid the parking fee? Sure, how? I have been dictatorial for eternity, but I have many regrets in my heart. Fortunately, you have brought a glimmer of hope. Dugu Badian. 1,000 tribulations, 100 lifetimes of difficulty, forever hastily flicking his fingers. Tian Dao, hold on, wait for me. Fong Han. Come on, brother. Today, I will talk about the struggle of a groom. The last let's go, everyone. Nothing to do today, listen to the music on Gulan. P.S. Shuangwen, with a system, not abusing the master, not breeding horses, currently the main world is dedicated to fighting watchmen. Keywords of the novel. Zhu Tian starts from the Dafeng Watchman without a pop-up window. Zhu Tian starts from the Dafeng Watchman with a complete TXT download. Zhu Tian starts from the Dafeng Watchman with the latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. 3 years is a meme, seeking recommendation, seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. 3 years is a meme, seeking recommendation, seeking collection. Autumn, year 36 of Yuanjing. The Dafeng dynasty, located in the Central Plains, was the hinterland of the Kyushu continent. 600 years ago, Emperor Dafeng, the founder of the country, established the country through martial arts and ruled the country through Confucianism. At its peak, many countries came to court, and the country has been in power for 600 years. 20 years ago, Dafeng teamed up with the Buddhist sects of the western regions to fight against the northern and southern demon tribes, the southern Gu tribes, and the northeastern witch and god cult at Shanhaiguan, and ultimately achieved victory. Millions of soldiers were deployed from all sides. From the beginning to the end of the war, millions of lives were annihilated within 6 months, making it one of the most brutal wars in history, known as the Battle of Mountains and Seas. Since then, Dafeng's national strength has been declining, and now the court is facing internal and external troubles, with numerous bureaucrats, loyal officials being wronged, and the people suffering. The country is in turmoil, and unprecedented changes are about to come. Dafengguo capital city. The morning light is faint, and the rising sun rises in the east. The city wall is like a lying beast in the sky, stretching for dozens of miles with a green and dark color. The walls, several floors high, are extremely magnificent, and the big flags are blown by the wind, making them particularly prominent in this lonely autumn world. The Wuhan Marquis Mansion is located on Gongho Street in the inner city of Beijing. The entire street is more than 10 miles long and more than 3 zhang wide, very straight and wide. Even with 8 large sedan chairs, it can pass smoothly. The whole street consists of only 4 or 5 noble families, with a prominent character. The Marquis of Wuhan Mansion covers an area of 100 acres, with a spacious terrain. In front of the main entrance, there are 2 stone lions that are 2 meters high, which are lifelike and lifelike. The vermilion gate, with shiny copper nails and rings, and the guards at the entrance resembling javelins, all display the status of Marquis Wuhan. There is a plaque hanging above the gate of the Marquis's mansion, which reads, Marquis Wuhan's Mansion, in 4 gilded characters. Chu Tianwu, the Marquis of Wuhan, was a noble family with a 3rd-rank martial artist. At the age of 15, he joined the military and spent more than 30 years in the military. He fought for more than 100 years, starting as a military commander, step by step. 20 years ago, he followed Wei Yuan and made significant contributions in the Battle of Mountains and Seas. Nowadays, he has been appointed as a 2nd-class general and commander of the Imperial Knife Guard, mainly responsible for the defense of the inner and outer cities of the capital, holding real power and holding a high position of authority. Early in the morning, the cold air was lingering. In a delicate courtyard located in the northeast corner of the Marquis of Wuhan's mansion, howling winds could be heard. Niu Mo Ding Jiao exclaimed, bull demon treads on hooves. Nyo Mo Yun Pai exclaimed, I saw a brave young man practicing martial arts on a spacious training ground, with a body shaped like a dragon. His strength matched his will, and his flesh, tendons, and skin all shook and stretched together, as if a magic cow was running wildly in the vast sky and earth. In the blink of an eye, the youth moves changed. Tiger demon extends his waist. Tiger demon climbs the mountain. Tiger demon descends the mountain. Tiger demon transports its spine. Tiger demon roars wildly. Tiger demon meets its head. Tiger demon tears sheep. Tiger demon jumps into the valley. The body shuttles back and forth, with every punch and movement making such a sound, as if the strong wind of the fist is exploding, or as if the bones inside the body are shaking. Between the punches and feet, the tongue is pressing against the teeth, the belly is lucky, and the tiger roars incessantly. It is a manifestation that the cultivation of the technique has reached a perfect state. After finishing work, a mouthful of turbid air shot out like a sharp arrow, and the whole body was boiling with blood and energy, like smoke. The young man was dressed in a tight-fitting green robe, with a handsome appearance, a face like a crown of jade, a straight figure, and a pair of bright eyes. It is Chu Linyang, the legitimate eldest son of Chu Tianwu, the Marquis of Wuhan, with the courtesy name Chonglu. The population of the Marquis of Wuhan mansion is thin, and the Marquis and his wife have a total of 4 children. Their eldest son is Chu Linyang, who also has an older sister, a younger brother, and a younger sister. Sister Chu Yuejiao is already married, and her future husband is the second son of the Ministry of War's attendant family. She has already passed the imperial examination and is expected to marry after passing the imperial examination. My younger brother Chu Linchuan was at the age of elementary school and also at a mischievous time, but under the guidance of Lady Wuan of the scholarly family, he was also quite knowledgeable and courteous. The youngest sister, Chu Yueqing, is only 3 years old and is a happy fruit at home when she is curious about everything. After the morning exercise, Chu Linyang returned to the side room of Qingbao's small courtyard. Young master, it's ready. You can take a shower and change your clothes, said a young girl who was about 18 years old. I saw her dressed in an emerald green dress, with a slender shape, and her face condensed with goose fat. Her eyebrows and eyes were full of spring, and she was the maid Qian'an, who was close to Chu Linyang. Qian'an's parents were both servants who used to serve the older generation of the Marquis' mansion. Since she was born in the same year as Chu Linyang, she has been following Chu Linyang since childhood and is also the only member of his family. She is destined to be Chu Linyang's concubine in the future. Except for Qian'an, let's all go down, Chu Linyang said lightly. Yes, young master. After answering in unison, the maidservants and servants closed the door and left softly. In the scorching bathtub, Chu Linyang closed his eyes and relaxed his expression. His body, which was practicing martial arts, had excellent heat and cold resistance, while Shiner stepped forward to massage and rub his shoulders. Suddenly, Chu Linyang silently recited the system in his heart, and a phantom panel suddenly appeared in his consciousness, displaying name. Chu Linyang, word length left, current main world. Dafeng Dagon world. Zhongqian world, bound, realm. Master of refining marrow, perfection, attachment, great achievement, techniques. Bull demon power fist, perfection, tiger demon bone training fist, perfection, spirit turtle breathing technique, perfection, floating light sweeping shadow body technique, Deshang, dragon elephant technique seal, Deshang, present Tathagata Sutra, beginner level, past Maitreya Sutra, beginner level, martial arts true meaning. Dominate the present, invincible Qinkuan, prototype items. 12,000 taels of silver, 600 taels of gold, blood steel Yuanyang sword, cleansing robe, qi and blood pills, and other elixirs, world destiny distortion 0.01%, 1,000 new source points added daily, Zhu Tian Wanjia Mall. Yangshan world has been connected, Other searches are ongoing. Shuttle through the heavens and boundaries. Not enabled, requires 100,000 source points to activate. Source point 10830. Yes, focus on the key points and have a systematic approach. There was no delay or downtime, and Chu Linyang didn't believe it before crossing over. Now I have to believe that there is really a system after crossing over. Chu Linyang was originally a small employee of the Blue Star Magic City Company. He was ordinary and in his 20s, he had enough to eat and his whole family was not hungry. He liked to read novels and chapter posts at some point in his life. He was caught by some great deity in the heavens, and as soon as he closed his eyes, he came to this world of the Feng Da Men. I don't know if it's a journey or a rebirth. It was only 3 years ago that I awakened the memories of my past life. The memories of my previous life naturally merged with this one, and there was no discomfort in all aspects. Everyone says time travel is good, but you really can't bear it. Lost, very confused. After calming down, I tried to call out to the system following the routine of the novel after time travel, and without hesitation, I jumped out of the system that had been dormant for 18 years. Oh, it's okay then. I am satisfied that there is no smart elf or anything that comes with a bad pen. It's not an exaggeration to say that my era has arrived, just pretending to be forced with a backhand. I hope everyone doesn't rush either, everything will happen. As a senior, what should I do first, to seek benefits for you? Newcomer's new book. Now the new book is also being released internally. We hope everyone can support us. End of this chapter. Starting from chapter 2, Heaven and Earth will take pride in me. For recommendation, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Starting from chapter 2, Heaven and Earth will take pride in me, seeking recommendations and collections, and the system has no name, no intelligence, and no interaction. The main function can be summarized in one sentence as changing the original world, whether it is the characters, plot, or other, to obtain the source point. And the source point can purchase techniques, treasures, pills, and so on in the mall. You can also travel through different worlds. The initial distortion of the system's world destiny was 100,000th, with only 100 new source points added every day. Later, as his level strength continued to improve, the distortion also continued to increase, and the number of source points also continued to increase. I believe the stronger the strength, the greater the interference on the original plot, there is no problem. But the system does not provide shortcuts such as enlightenment. Everything needs to be practiced by oneself, and the resources are yours. The rest is up to you to work hard, and everything is up to fate. It's not farming flow, it's not check.in flow, it's not task flow, let alone divine luxury flow. That's it, bad reviews. Others move their fingers, add tens of thousands of layers, and have variations in their martial arts, which they don't even recognize. Come to me, that's it. Chu Zhigao, one of the highest heavenly beings destined for the future, is in this row. Anyway, Chu Linyang has greeted the system at least 100 times without any feedback. There's really nothing he can do, just one word, liver. For the past 3 years, Chu Linyang has been immersed in contemplation every day, regardless of wind or rain. During the day, I practice martial arts diligently, and at night, I cultivate my spiritual essence. Even if I can build a team to strengthen relationships with friends, I won't go. All the source points have been exchanged for cultivation resources one by one, but fortunately, the heavenly capital is not lacking and the resources are abundant, making cultivation even more unstoppable. Now he is a great master of martial arts practice, with a blend of essence, mind, and spirit. The divine soul also breaks through to the completion of the attachment, the divine soul splits, the thought moves, and the Taoist technique is infinite. It has preliminarily condensed the true meaning of martial arts, and it is believed that practitioners who have not yet reached the extraordinary level in the world of worship no longer have much threat. Even practitioners who have entered the extraordinary level will have to fight to know who is strong and who is weak. Finally, I have gained some self-protection ability in this world where personal force is paramount. In this world of worship, there are not only demon tribes but also gods and demons, and the cultivation system is also diverse. In addition to being known as a non-chieftain martial artist, there are also sorcerers, Confucians, Taoists, Buddhists, wizards, and sorcerers. 1,000 years ago, the Confucian sage divided the major systems into grades, from the lowest 9th grade to the highest 1st grade. Among them, the 3rd grade and above possessed various supernatural powers that were greatly different from ordinary people, so they were respectfully called the transcendent realm. A product of one or more is considered a super product and is not included in the system. It has become a legend in the world. Traveling through this world, Chu Linyang has a small goal, but meeting some people and scenery is already excellent. Don't think much about the rest, the main melody is to do things that don't please Buddhism, witchcraft, demon tribes, and gods and demons quite well. That's it. As for the daily trivial matters such as listening to music on the Gulen, seeking pleasure in brothels, and building a teaching workshop team, there is no need to describe them too much, right? In a moment, Chu Linyang suddenly opened his eyes, got up, vigorously shook off the water droplets, changed clothes, and then went to the dining room. Yang, you're here, said a beautiful woman in Chinese attire gently at the dining table. It is the wife of Marquis Wuan and the birth mother of Chu Linyang, Shen Yeshuan. She was wearing a light purple long dress, draped in blue chiffon, and had a white brocade belt around her waist, appearing fresh and elegant. A small oval face, a pair of willow eyebrows curved like crescent moon, a straight and delicate nose bridge, a beautiful face and giving people a scholarly temperament. It is also the 8th grade of Confucianism. The state of self-cultivation. Chu Linyang bowed and said, the child has seen his mother. Good morning, mother. The 2 little guys also reacted and said. Good morning, big brother. This is my younger brother, Chu Linyang. Big pot, hold on. This is my younger sister, Chu Yiqing, who is slurred. Good morning, you 2 little ones. Chu Linyang hugged his sister Chu Yiqing and sat down, saying. On the side, the maid Qian'an brought the prepared wild mountain ginseng and deer antler stew soup. 1 pot in the morning and 1 pot in the evening can enhance physical fitness, although the effect is already better than nothing for the current Chu Linyang. Chu Linyang picked up the pot and drank it all in one gulp. The wild ginseng, deer antler, and other medicinal herbs inside were also chewed and swallowed, without any waste. Mother, I'm full and I'm going to study, said my younger brother Chu Linyang. When you're full, go ahead. Slow down on the road and be polite when you see your husband, Shen Yeshuan said lightly. It's my mother, Chu Linyang bowed and answered. Then he went to the Guozijian with his companion, the wind, fire, and fire of the children. Mother, has father gone to the clinic? Chu Linyang asked. Yeah, the Imperial Sword Guard is defending both inside and outside the capital, and it happens to be close to the royal ancestral worship ceremony. The affairs are busy, and your father is meticulous and responsible in his work. He hasn't returned for 3 days. Shen Yeshuan said calmly without emotion. Decades of military career, swift and strict discipline have been engraved in the bones of Marquis Wuan. After breakfast, Chu Linyang stepped out and arrived at the pavilion by the pond in the front yard. He saw the rockery pavilion towering and the pond rippling with blue waves. The pavilion is named Haran, the pond is called Tianxia, and its full name is Haran Tianxia. Upon hearing this name for the first time, Chu Linyang's chin was startled. He ordered his servants to bring a blue stone and place it in the center of the pavilion, naming it the Sword Chi Great Wall. At first, he smiled inwardly, recalling his past years. Later, he became accustomed to it and used it for drinking tea and alcohol. Hey, if you find a chance, make sure to invite Xiao Chen over for a drink and say, is this martial arts world okay? Come out and drink tea with me, Chu Linyang said lightly. In an instant, 2 figures appeared in front of Chu Linyang. On the left is a young man in a purple robe named Song Yi, who is 9 feet tall and towering. His back stands upright, like a sword or spear, like a high mountain, oppressing him. In front of Chu Linyang, it feels like a gentle breeze brushing against his face. On the other side is a black-robed woman named Yuling, a member of the Gu tribe. Her features are delicate, cold as ice and frost, and her figure is enchanting. When she looks at her, her figure is always in shadow, as if instinctively blending with the shadow. "Sit down," Chu Linyang said. The black-robed woman sat down silently. After sitting down, Song Yi sneered and said, "Young master, you know me. I don't like drinking tea." "Yeah, then let's drink, you watch." After speaking, Chu Linyang drank a cup of tea, tsk, good tea. Song Yi sat upright on the side, but his eyes wandered around before finally eagerly glancing at him. "Alright, we can still miss yours. Go and bring a jar of good wine." Chu Linyang said to the servant beside him. The servant bowed and walked away quickly. "Young master, this is the jade and stone mirror that you ordered to obtain from Li Lingsu, the holy son of the heavenly sect." As she spoke, the woman in the black robe handed over a small antique jade mirror. "It is the fragment of the sect's most precious land book." Chu Linyang took it and flipped it up and down, but on the surface, there wasn't much magical about it. It seemed that Li Lingsu had already shed blood and recognized the master. He didn't show any supernatural signs in front of outsiders, so he casually placed it aside. There was already a piece of land book fragment left by the heavenly sect holy maiden, and I should be the 7th one of the heavenly sect holy son. "Wine comes, thank you, young master." Song Yi smiled and said, "I have the latest news from Su Pingji and his nephew Su Qian'an, the 100 households of the Imperial Guard that you have brought me attention to. Su Pingji was arrested by the Jingzhou Prefecture this morning due to the disappearance of the escorted tax agent. After interrogation, he has now been imprisoned." The court and the public trembled, and the emperor was furious. He ordered Su Pingji to be beheaded in 5 days, with the 3 tribes sitting together. The men were sent to the border, and the women's families were sent to the education department. After taking a big sip of wine, Song Yi continued, "Su Qian'an has also been implicated and relieved of his position as a constable. He is now also detained in the prison of Jingzhou Prefecture and will soon be sent to the border. On the contrary, Su Pingji's parent-child Su Xinyan is a newly appointed Jiren, protected by the Yunlu Academy, but with no need to be promoted. Su Pingji is really unlucky. He pities those women. The Education Bureau is not a good place to go, but he managed to survive. Nice to meet all of you. We are seeking support for our new book. Thank you. Thank you for the recommended votes and comments from the book enthusiasts yesterday. Thank you very much." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The beginning of the plot, seeking recommendation and collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The beginning of the plot, seeking recommendation and collection. Oh, those who don't know are fearless. If you were calculated by the second-grade peak alchemist, you would also suffer great misfortune. No, you would suffer 8 lifetimes of misfortune, Chu Linyang murmured silently in his heart. After entering the extraordinary realm, the sorcerer is truly terrifying. The masters are all in the same lineage, and if the realm wants to rise, they must kill the teachers in front of them. They are all werewolves and cannot be provoked. Fortunately, I have a system to help block causality, otherwise I will definitely become too involved in the future. Following the plan of the Heavenly Tao Incarnation as the second-generation supervisor and the second-generation supervisor's eldest disciple Su Pingfeng, if they are sold, I will have to help them count their money again. Young master, you care so much about these 2 uncles and nephews that you wouldn't watch one of them lose their head and the other go to the border, would you? Song Yi and the woman in the black robe exchanged a glance and asked suspiciously. Is there anyone among us in the prison of Jingzhou Mansion? Chu Linyang asked calmly. Yes, the black-robed woman replied in a cold and simple tone. No need to deliberately intervene, just let our people give us some convenience and closely monitor the development of the situation. This matter will be reported daily starting from today. Chu Linyang fiddled with the teacup in his hand and said. Yes, young master. Song Yi and the black-robed woman arched their hands. You go ahead first, and I will send someone to allocate 3,000 taels of funds for each of your 2 departments. You should practice and train your subordinates as soon as possible. It's about to take off, and time is running out. Chu Linyang stood up and looked at the lotus flowers swaying in the wind all over the pond, saying meaningfully. Obedience. Song Yi and the black-robed woman flew away. After a moment of contemplation, Chu Linyang made a move with his right hand, causing fragments of the earth book to quickly fly in. With a movement of his mind, his divine mind shrouded the fragments of the earth book. Upon closer inspection, a drop of blood appeared on the mirror, and with a movement of his divine mind, the blood quickly evaporated and disappeared without a trace. Looking at the fragments of the earth book, Chu Linyang's thoughts suddenly turned. At that time, the super-grade Daozuan used his clone as one of the materials to refine the earth book, and his clone also became the spirit of the earth book. It was uncertain what kind of backing Daozun had. But until the end, the clone of Daozundi sect did not appear, and after Su Qian'an was promoted to the martial god, killing super products was like chopping melons and vegetables. I believe that even the clone of Daozundi sect could not make a big splash. Chu Linyang's mind was fixed, and his luck forced a drop of blood to drip onto the small jade mirror. The blood stayed on the mirror for a few seconds before slowly disappearing. At the next moment, in a chaotic space, 7 light points appeared. It is believed that except for Su Qian'an, all the others holding fragments of the earth book were already in place. Chu Linyang tried to perceive them with all his might, and the 7 light points seemed far and near, even vaguely sensing the state of the earth book holder. However, the current number 9 is still a black and purple lotus, which is difficult to communicate with. Let's wait for the arrival of Taoist Jinluo before saying hello. Returning to reality, Chu Linyang felt a mysterious connection between him and the jade mirror, smiling and nodding. Who wouldn't like the version of WeChat from another world? A white horse passes by a gap, and the sunlight flies by. On this day, at the Haran Pavilion in the Marquis' mansion of Wuhan, Chu Linyang continued to drink tea, while Song Yi continued to drink wine. The breeze was gentle, and time was quiet. How's the tax and silver case going? Chu Linyang broke the mood with his voice. Sir, it has been 3 days since the disappearance of the tax and silver case. Today, like the previous 2 days, there has been no progress. After investigation, only a conclusion has been drawn that a monster is causing trouble. But the Jingzhou mansion, the watchman, and the 3 departments of the heavenly supervision have not even discovered a single strand of monsters, which really makes Shengguan's face not very attractive. The emperor ordered that Su Pingji must retrieve the tax silver before being beheaded. There may be no hope in the remaining 2 days. Hey, the governor of Jingzhou is probably going to take responsibility. Song Yi's face was filled with schadenfreude. Song Yi, what do you think? Chu Linyang looked at Song Yi and his heart moved. What do I think? I'm sitting and watching, lying down and watching. Song Yi remained silent in his heart and said, I think it's not wise to conclude that it was a monster's behavior based on a wave of demonic winds and the disappearance of tax silver, and that the 2 sides exploded. It's highly likely that it was human-made, but there are still some places that I can't figure out. Chu Linyang looked at him in surprise and said, not bad, not bad. Wu Fu has wisdom, and immortals cannot stop him. You are my Yuan Fang. Look at what you said, at least I attended a private school for a few years. At that time, my teacher even praised me as a top scholar. Song Yi's face lit up. But who is Yuan Fang? I haven't heard of her before. Yuan Fang is just a small constable. It's normal that you haven't heard of it before. Don't worry about these details. Chu Linyang pondered for a moment and said in a solemn and slow tone, it's today. Today I will have an extra fellow villager, a fast-driving old driver, a time management master, and a like-minded person. That's right, these are all descriptions of the same person, and I am not alone. In the blink of an eye, 2 more days have passed, and the sunset is setting in the west. In a spacious secret room, nearly 30 zhang in length and width, and more than 3 zhang in height, it was empty. Chu Linyang stood quietly in the center of the secret room, pointing to the sky with one hand and the ground with the other, barefoot with 5 fingers in a strange posture, as if stepping on a lotus flower. At the same time, Shihai Zhongguan thought of a mysterious and profound Tathagata Buddha, with a lingering charm of grasping and dominating the present, which is the overall outline of the now Tathagata Sutra. With the changes in the mysterious seal of the Tathagata Buddha in the sea of consciousness, Chu Linyang also concocted the mysterious seal, as if it were a manifestation of all the power in the heavens. Each seal seemed to have the power to turn the world around and destroy it. Practicing the Tathagata Sutra with the great master is still a bit difficult now. At least breaking through the martial saint is necessary to preliminarily unleash the power of the 10 major seals of the Tathagata. To truly unleash all the great power, one must reach the essence of the human immortal peak fist. Chu Linyang thought to himself. We still need to find a way to break through the martial saint as soon as possible. Stepping out, Song Yi was already waiting in front of the door. Do you know, young master? There is news from Jingzhou Mansion that Su Pingji's nephew Su Qian'an has provided important clues to help the governor solve the missing tax and silver case. He has made meritorious contributions and the Su family has been pardoned for their crimes. He has gone home. It's really strange, extremely strange. Song Yi shook his head and said incredulously. There's nothing unusual, as I expected. Chu Linyang said lightly. Pay close attention to Su Qian'an and try to get his favor. If there are any issues, you can make your own decision. If you encounter difficulties, immediately summon me. Yes, young master. Song Yi arched his hand slightly. The Guiyue Tower in the capital city is located in a prime location within the city. Even a building is not a building. It covers an area of tens of acres, with a grand scale and magnificent decoration. The interior is exquisitely decorated, with gorgeous maids and servants constantly coming and going. Guests who come and go are all high-ranking officials and dignitaries. The BMW, carriage, large sedan chair, small sedan chair, and so on that lined the door were well organized and not in the slightest panic under the guidance of the servants. When Chu Linyang arrived, a servant who had been waiting for him immediately led him to the elegant room upstairs. Carved beams and painted rafters in the spacious room is magnificent, and the walls are also hung with literati calligraphy to show elegance. Stay here for a long time. I haven't seen you in a few days. How have you been at your mansion lately? The 2 hosts who are treating us today are speaking from Su Yi, the crown prince of Shanha Marquis, with the courtesy name Hengyue. The other person next to him is Zhou Xiuan, the son of Yangwu Bo, with the courtesy name Boqi. The 3 families are all family friends. They are about the same age and grew up together. They are also classmates, which is now commonly known as Fa Xiao, Lao Tai. Please provide more support, thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Education Workshop Department, seeking recommendation and collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Education Workshop Department, seeking recommendation and collection. Everything is fine, Brother Su and Brother Zhou. Why did you suddenly come to drink with me today? What good thing is there? Chu Linyang sat down next to the Prince of Shanha and smiled. It's okay, it's been a long time since we last met. Let's gather together, but I heard that your mother has been planning your marriage recently. Is that the case? Said Prince Su Yi of Shanha with a smirk on his face. I knew you 2 didn't hold back any good farts, and you also know that our family is young and weak. As the eldest son, I have no shirking of my duty. I was delayed for a few years due to cultivation before, so now let it go naturally. Chu Linyang said unhappily. Chu Linyang, who was alone in his past life, attached great importance to his current family relationship. Chu's mother had always cared about his marriage, but the legal age of marriage in ancient times was too young for him to accept, so he took the opportunity to delay it for a few years. Good thing, good thing. If we hadn't grown up together since childhood, we would have thought you had some health problems. You see, Boki is already the father of 3 children. As for the 3 swordsmen in Beijing, we haven't had fun together for a long time. Today, we must go to the education workshop to celebrate if we have a good meal. Su Yi shouted excitedly. 3 cheap customers in the capital. It's embarrassing to shout so loudly. I am known as a righteous gentleman, Chu Changlu. However, some people say that watching songs and dances and listening to small songs is an elegant move. Who said that? Anyway, it's not Lu Sun. Chu Linyang smiled slightly but remained silent. What's interesting about the Jiaofang department? How about going hunting in the northern suburb of Mount Huangshan Mountain when the weather gets cold a few days later? Said Zhou Xiuan, the son of Yanggu uncle. There is no conflict between the Jiaofang division and the great Mount Huangshan Mountain. Go with us, go to the Jiaofang division first, and then go to the great Mount Huangshan Mountain. That's the deal. Su Yi shook his fist to make sure. At the beginning of the night, even when the lights are on, there is still a bustling scene in front of us, bustling with traffic and bustling crowds. Chu Linyang, along with 7 or 8 servants, arrived at the famous Jiafangxi in the capital. Jiafangxi was located in an alley, different from ordinary brothels. Jiafangxi did not have tall buildings, but were independent small courtyards, which were quite impressive. To apply Su Yinluo's words, state-owned enterprises are so wealthy and powerful. Entering the alley, Prince Su Yi of Shanha Marquis took the lead and headed straight to the courtyard. In no time, we arrived at the door of a small courtyard with a plaque reading Snowy Pavilion. The courtyard door was tightly closed, and there stood a woman in her 20s standing at the entrance. When she saw Su Yi, she immediately approached and smiled, saying, "Crown Prince, you have come. Miss Piaoshu has been waiting for you inside for a long time." She pushed open the courtyard door and led everyone inside. Entering the courtyard, what catches the eye are the osmanthus trees full of flowers on the branches, swaying in the wind with a pleasant aroma, as if the whole world is beautiful. Subsequently, a woman in white was seen, her skin condensed, her eyebrows curved, and her jade bones and ice skin slowly walking out of the moonlight, like a fairy coming out of the moon palace. The world and the sky became clean, with a holy taste rippling. It is the owner of the courtyard, Miss Piaoshu. There are a total of 12 flower leaders in Jiafangxi, divided into 4 categories based on their taste, rhyme, talent, and color. Piaoshu girl belongs to the first class and is known as a combination of poetry and dance. Her dance is particularly beautiful, like a fairy descending from the sky. Some scholars have written poems evaluating her, saying that this dance should only be seen in the sky, and how many times can it be heard in the human world. The reception area for guests in the snowy pavilion is located in the warm pavilion next to the main house, where a blazing charcoal pot is burned to dispel the winter cold. The windows are open, and thin silk curtains are hung to block the cold wind. Today belongs to Mr. Su as the guest and private room. The 3 of them, as well as Miss Piaoshu, didn't play any games. They just sat drinking and chatting, listening to music and dancing. Among them, Miss Piaoshu's dance moves were truly extraordinary, making people applaud her. She can definitely be called the ceiling of the music and dance world. In the quiet of the night, Prince Zhou Xiuan of Yanggu Bo arranged to go to another courtesan's place. Prince Su Yi of Shanha Marquis stayed overnight in the snowy pavilion. Chu Linyang stepped out of the hospital and then sailed into the sky, returning to his own courtyard at the Marquis's mansion without any trouble for the night. Time flies, and after late autumn, although there is no snow, the cold is getting heavier day by day. In the backyard of the Marquis's mansion, the room is as warm as spring. Chu Linyang sits cross-legged, using the Dharma to warm and nourish the acupoints of the great human body, known as the essence and primordial embryo. According to the theory of the young God world, the ascending birth of the essence is a key point in the connection between the physical body and the divine soul, located in the center of the eyebrows. Opening the essence ascension has a great effect on breaking through ghosts and immortals, and is also beneficial for martial arts and physical cultivation. So he specially exchanged 15,000 source points for the method of measuring the essence of birth, and successfully opened up the essence of birth with the divine concept of possession. For the next half-month, I have been warming and nourishing my acupoints, hoping to reach a complete state as soon as possible. Through this, the divine soul can grow and break through the realm of ghosts and immortals, allowing birds to fly freely and enjoy great freedom and freedom. Every time he cultivates, he can gradually feel that his divine soul seems to reside in the essence of the fetus, nourished by qi and blood, and like a baby living in the mother's body, with a sense of returning to its original source of pregnancy. The blood and bone marrow of the whole body are slightly stimulated, and the combination of qi, blood, and divine soul nourishes each other, thereby greatly improving both the path of Taoism and martial arts. Slowly calming down qi and blood, Chu Linyang opened his eyes, and the void was full of energy. His eyes were full of essence and energy, shining brightly. He warmed and nurtured the essence of the fetus, without being in a hurry or pulling out seedlings to promote growth. The most important foundation for cultivation was natural and natural. Name: Chu Linyang, word length left, current main world. Dafeng Dagon world. Zhongqian world, bound, realm. Master of refining marrow, perfection, body attachment, Desheng, orifices. Essence element upward birth, Xiaocheng, cultivation techniques. Floating light sweeping shadow body technique, Desheng, dragon elephant technique seal, Desheng, present Tathagata Sutra, beginner level, past Maitreya Sutra, beginner level, martial arts true meaning. Dominate the present, invincible Qian'an, prototype, perfect cultivation technique summary, items. 6,200 taels of silver, 600 taels of gold, blood steel Yuanyang sword, cleansing robe, several pills, world destiny distortion 0. 1%, 1,000 new source points added daily, Zhu Tian Wanjiamal. Yangshan world has been connected, other searches are ongoing, shuttle through the heavens and boundaries. Not enabled, requires 100,000 source points to activate, source point. 18830, note. King of Artifacts. Eternal Kingdom, exchange requires 200 million source points, half a month has passed, and the source point has accumulated nearly 20,000 points, but there is still a long way to go from the 100,000 points that travel through the Qi heavens. When the Ghost Fairy Queen wants to cross the Thunder Robbery, she must go to the Young God world. The lightning in the Defeng world may not have the supernatural power of the Thunder Robbery in the Young God world, and even if it is chopped apart, it will be of no use. The Young God world belongs to the peak of the Middle Thousand world, and traveling through it will consume a lot of source points. When Wu Dao breaks through Wu Sheng, in order to be foolproof, he also needs to prepare a Earth Element Spirit Pill, which requires 20,000 source points. I need to accelerate the level of plot intervention and quickly accumulate source points. When the time comes, I will take out billions of source points and directly exchange them for the King of Divine Artifacts, the Eternal Kingdom, to destroy everything and achieve a direct ending. Chu Linyang looked at the Eternal Kingdom and felt drool in his heart. I hope everyone can support me a lot. Thank you for the recommended tickets of the Demon Cave Ghost Dragon, Umbrella made Nanshan Lychee Round Roll, and I'm so coquettish. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Hometown Su Qian'an, seeking recommendation and collection, You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Hometown Su Qian'an, seeking recommendation and collection, calculating the time. Su Qian'an, the son of the Feng world, lived for 2 lifetimes. He was about to be crushed by the second generation of officials surnamed Zhou for the first time, which was the only time Su Qian'an had suffered from exhaustion before becoming powerful. The second generation was so terrifying. This incident had a profound impact on Su Qian'an, leading to his deepening desire for power and power. After joining the Night Watchman, he had a smooth sailing and was invincible under the watchful eyes of Wei Yuan and the supervisor. But now that Chu Linyang is here, I'll surprise my little brother first. Time quietly passed, and then a few calm days passed. The weather is getting colder and colder. Report to the young master. Just now there was a conflict between Su Qian'an and Zhou Li, the son of Zhou Xianping, the Minister of Revenue, in the bustling city. The constable of Chang'an County government has arrived, and it is estimated that both sides will be taken to Chang'an County government. The leader of Song is afraid that Su Qian'an will have an accident, so he is hiding in the surrounding area to pay attention to the situation. He has ordered his subordinates to report urgently, said the secret guard kneeling on one knee. Got it, you go. Chu Linyang paused as he served the tea, put down his cup, and stood up. Suddenly, a blood-steel striped sword appeared in front of him, swaying up and down like a wandering dragon. Chu Linyang leaped up, his mind blocking his body. His sword soared into the sky, cutting through a trace of the sky and disappearing into the clouds. Not long after, Chu Linyang had already wielded his sword and arrived at the sky above Chang'an County Government Office. His divine mind covered all traces, and no ordinary person could see a person standing with a sword above the county government office. At this moment, Song Yi had also arrived nearby, and Chu Linyang's consciousness transmitted a message to him to hold his ground. I saw that Su Qian'an and Zhou Gongzi, along with their group, had been taken to the county government by the constable. All sentient beings take turns to perform. Zhou Gongzi is stubborn and domineering. All the servants and dogs in the house are tyrannical and lawless. Zhu County Magistrate turned big things into small ones and small things into small ones. Su Qian'an grabbed the straw and wanted to use it as chicken feathers. Well, Su Linyang, it's rare for ordinary people to have someone so good-looking, it's rare. Both sides took turns lining up, and soon the strongest of both sides had already gone online. The strongest on Su Qian'an's side is Uncle Su Pingji from the Qi refining realm, while the strongest on Zhou Gongzi's side is old dog surnamed Chen from the spirit refining realm. Missing a large rank is equivalent to bronze versus diamond. How do you say to strike? Seeing the Minister of Justice rush in with a group of armored soldiers, Chu Linyang gestured for Grandmaster Duan Song Yi to warm up the scene first. Is there any royal law or law to forcibly rob women in broad daylight? Is there any law? Song Yi stepped into the lobby, as if his aura was like a landslide and tsunami, directly intimidating the whole audience. The old servant in the blue coat stood stiff and trembling, sweating profusely. The sharp intuition and 5 senses of the refining realm constantly reminded him to flee quickly, which was terrifying. The others, like falling into an ice cellar, are speechless. After a moment of silence, Zhu County Magistrate received less pressure and bowed. May I ask who you are? I, the 5th grade official of the Marquis of Wuhan, worship Song Yi. Identity is not important. What's important is that I saw with my own eyes Zhou Li, the son of the eunuch, flirting with the common women on the street with ulterior motives and violating the royal law. He should be punished severely. Later, it was also Zhou Gongzi's servant who first attacked this brother. This brother was forced to resist. Why did he commit such a crime? Song Yi withdrew his qi and said sternly. Su Pingji and Su Qian's uncle and nephew looked at each other, pleasantly surprised. They were already desperate, but suddenly turned around. Su Pingji sighed that there are still many good people in the world. Su Qian'an sighed at the unreasonable luck he had after crossing over. 3 paths had already collapsed, leaving only crystals. At the last moment, he could still come up with a strong support. I want to win this game by lying down and double-clicking 666. The 5th rank official in the green robe took a step back, with a strong desire for survival and a slightly heavy complexion. What's going on, Uncle Chen? Come on, come up with a solution. The young master in brocade suddenly turned pale and shouted. The old servant in the blue coat looked unsightly and bowed, saying, Song Gong Feng, my own person. My master is a servant of the Ministry of Revenue, and you see, this matter is very complicated. Now that we both have our own opinions, we cannot make a decision immediately. But it's a fact that my young master was beaten in the head and bleeding blood. He's the victim. According to the procedure, should we first detain Su Qian'an and wait for the Ministry of Justice to investigate before making a decision? This is also to restore Su Qian'an's innocence as soon as possible, isn't it? Huang Langzhong, do you think this is the truth? After speaking, his gaze turned straight towards the 5th rank official in the Qinpao Department of Justice. Oh, you're talking about the 5th grade offering in my Grand Marquis mansion. The peak martial artist with the 5th grade transformation power has a bad look in his eyes, Song Yi said with a slightly narrowed and cold gaze. The 5th rank official in the Qing robe, the Minister of Justice, gritted his teeth and took a step forward. The Song dynasty's offerings were heavy, and I was appointed as the Minister of Justice. I gained the trust of the court and was in charge of the country's punishment policies. I was under the jurisdiction of the Minister of Personnel and the Assistant Minister, and was determined to enforce the law impartially. There are indeed unclear facts in this case, and we need to investigate them as soon as possible, give both parties an explanation, and kindly ask Song Zifeng to rest for a while. Later, we will need you to explain the situation to the officials. According to the procedure, Su Qian'an should still be detained by our Ministry of Justice first. What a grand reason, would you say such things to the common people? A cold voice came from outside the hall. Everyone turned their heads and saw a handsome young man slowly approaching, dressed in a brocade robe and a green robe, as if exiled from heaven. He clearly did not have any domineering aura, but involuntarily made people feel awe from the bottom of their hearts. Entering the lobby, Chu Linyang's face remained indifferent and he looked down upon everything. Song Yi stepped forward and said, "Pay respects to the Crown Prince." Then stand behind Chu Linyang. Everyone came to their senses and saluted together, saying, "The Crown Prince is polite." Su Qian'an exclaimed inwardly, "Prince of the Marquis' mansion, the future Marquis of Wuhan. Master, the truth I. Hey, isn't it that all the big shots nowadays are so idle? I think it's either on the way to the Jiaofang office or on the way to the Jiaofang office. There's a big problem." Su Pingji's eyes were dull, his head was buzzing, and his expression had become numb. "Huang Lang, do you want me to bring this small matter to Dali Temple for the joint review of the 3 departments of the Imperial Censorate?" Chu Linyang said straightforwardly. I dare not, please forgive me for taking my leave." After speaking, Huang Langzhong from the Ministry of Justice stormed away with his armored soldiers. "As for you. Misunderstanding, Crown Prince, it's all a misunderstanding. Fortunately, it's not a big deal and it scared everyone. We are willing to make compensation, offering 300 taels of silver to this young brother Su," the old servant said with a smile. 1,000 taels, you're already living up to the age of a dog, get lost. Get out of here, the old servant said shyly, handing over a stack of silver bills in pain, and then hurriedly leading Prince Zhou out. The remaining onlookers were all dumbfounded, marveling at the rapid changes in the world. They had been ignorant before. Chu Linyang smiled and turned his head to look at Su Qian'an, feeling emotional and saying, "Su Qian'an, we finally meet. But now is not the time to confess. Chang'an County Government Hall, Su Qian'an, would like to express my gratitude to the Crown Prince and Lord Song. The Crown Prince has made great efforts to turn the tide, and Lord Song has spoken out with righteousness. Thanks to the Crown Prince and Lord Song, otherwise today would have been more ominous than good. Please accept my next bow. Su Qian'an quickly stepped forward, clenched his fists and bowed in a loud voice. Thank you for the recommended ticket from the book friend. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Hunting, add one more chapter, thank you for your support. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Hunting, add one more chapter, thank you for your support. At the same time, Su Pingji had already comforted his two daughters in the side hall and brought Linyin over to express his gratitude, saying, I am Su Pingji, 100 households of the Imperial Guard under the Marquis's command. Thank you very much to the Crown Prince and Lord Song for saving the Su mansion from fire and water today. I will not express my gratitude for your great kindness. If there is any dispatch in the future, Su will have no hesitation. Thank you, Crown Prince. Su Linyang, on the side, had not completely calmed down from the shock just now, and her eyes were red and swollen. She spoke softly and thanked Chu Linyang. It is our generation's duty to offer peace and prosperity to the world, and to help each other when facing injustice. As one of our own people, there is no need to be polite, Song Yi replied. Su Qian'an, you look like a friend I haven't seen in a long time. Chu Linyang spoke inexplicably. That could be me, Su Qian'an thought to himself, but his mouth said, the prince's friend must be a very excellent person. Clever as I Su Qian'an, praising three people in one sentence, nice. Su Qian'an secretly thought to himself. Su Qian'an, Zhou Xianping and Zhou Lifu and his son will not give up easily. There is another hidden truth to this matter, so please cherish it. Song Yi said solemnly, if you have anything to do, you can go to the Marquis's mansion in Wuhan to find me. This matter is over, everyone. We will meet later. Without much greeting, Chu Linyang led Song Yi away. County Magistrate Zhu breathed a sigh of relief and wiped away the sweat from his forehead with a wave of his sleeve. It's so hanging, but it's over. Is it the evening to listen to the music in Gulan or the music in Jiaofangxi? Su Qian'an, you have benefited from misfortune. You have earned 1,000 taels of silver, which can be saved up for 40 years without eating or drinking. You have also met the Crown Prince of Wuhan, who is. Yes. Anyway, when you become prosperous in the future, don't forget our old friends. A group of familiar constables surrounded Su Qian'an, shouting with envy. Su Qian'an's mind suddenly turned, thinking back on what Song Yi had just said, his face solemnly said, Mr. Zhu, colleagues, thank you for your great kindness. There have been too many things in the past 2 days. In a few days, I will hold a banquet at the Gueyue Tower to thank you all. Please be sure to appreciate it. Wow, Gueyue Tower. It's said to be the best restaurant in Beijing, so the cost would be quite a bit. That's right, Gueyue Tower. I heard that a meal costs at least 5 taels of silver. If it's not for high-ranking officials, they won't even receive it. Who did you hear that? You know you haven't been there yet. 5 taels of silver is not enough. I went there with my uncle from the same clan before. Do you know how much it cost? 10 taels, a whole 10 taels, enough for you to work hard for half a year. Wow, the constables exclaimed in surprise and began to discuss. Scattered, all scattered. Zhu County Magistrate's face was full of disgust. Feeling inwardly malicious, a group of inexperienced bumpkins. Well, the osmanthus wine from Gueyue Tower is unique in the capital. It has a delicious and refreshing taste, with a lingering aftertaste. However, it costs 3 taels of silver per jar, and even if the landlord doesn't have any surplus food, they can't afford it. We must have a good time drinking it this time. That's it. Then he strolled back to the backyard of the county government office with satisfaction. Xiao Qing, Constable Wang, who was out to move reinforcements, hurriedly ran into the lobby. Su Qian'an, you must hold on. Looking around, Su Qian'an's figure was nowhere to be seen. His heart was pounding with a thud. Oh no, come a step late. It wasn't until he met the Yamen guard on duty that he realized the matter was over, and the son of the Minister of Revenue picked up his tail and rolled away in a grey manner. Constable Wang murmured to himself, damn it, it's really good luck. Don't forget the friendship of 1 or 2 silver from your uncle Su Qian'an. The north wind howls, and the mountains and rivers are desolate. Marquis' mansion, Haran Pavilion Song-yi, maidservants and servants stood quietly by, waiting on a chessboard with black and white pieces crisscrossing, white pieces like dragons and black pieces like formations. They were playing against the chess masters of Chu Linyang in Wuhan Marquis' mansion, Pang Rodeo, who was also Chu Linyang's chess teacher since childhood. The chess game has reached the middle table, with Chu Linyang leading the white and Pang Shi leading the black. It's Chu Linyang's turn, pa. By Jinluo's big dragon appears. Pang Rodeo admitted defeat in the middle. The crown prince's chess skills have reached a state of perfection, and I feel inferior to him. Nowadays, there may not be 3 or 5 people who possess this chess ability. Pang Rodeo smiled all over his face. Being young surpasses being blue, and being a teacher is only a source of satisfaction. Of course, the generous salary of the Marquis' mansion is also one reason. Pang Shi is overpraised. The sea of chess is boundless, and the road ahead is long. I will search up and down, Chu Linyang said with a smile. Song-yi asked beside him, what other extraordinary person on my journey to the Great Fengqi Road dare to compete with the crown prince? Shiner next to her nodded frequently, and in her mind, the young master was the best in the world, unparalleled. There is a heaven outside the world, and there are people outside the people. In the capital, there are people who have achieved great success in chess. Li Mubai, a great scholar from Jinluo Academy, was a great player and once claimed to be the best in the world of chess. The other one is Wei Yuan, the Duke of Wei who leads the night watchman. This chess player is not well known, but 5 years ago, Li Mubai, the world's top player, had 3 rounds of negotiations with Wei Yuan and all of them were lost, which is truly unfathomable. Pang Rodeo shook his head and said. Wei Yuan and Wei Qingyi are truly unfathomable. Chu Linyang took a sip of tea and looked inexplicably. Late at night, in the inner room, Chu Linyang continued to polish the essence on the tire, feeling that the Cheng was not far away. After swallowing a pill of qi and blood, slowly recover the energy. After the recent incident involving Zhou Li, the son of the Minister of Revenue, the distortion of the world's destiny has reached 5,000ths, with 5,000 new source points added every day. Chu Linyang felt his whole body tremble, and for the past 2 days, he has been smiling and walking with wind. It's time to go masturbate with Su Qian'an again. He has half of the national fortune and won't be bald. A few days later, news came of the downfall of Zhou Shilang. Zhou Xianping, the Minister of Revenue, was dismissed from office and sent to the army due to his greed for money and food from the national treasury, and his inability to educate his son. His son Zhou Li was exiled to southern Xinjiang. Beautiful, Su Qian'an has finished the work. But he didn't know that, with the recommendation of Princess Chang, the watchman's office had already silently begun to review his organization, and all of his actions during this period were seen in the eyes of the watchman. It's time to give him a good lesson and let him know that relying solely on the experience of a police officer in his past life is not feasible in this world, and he will eventually suffer great losses. In the cold winter of December, snowflakes fluttered down in the sky, and the cold wind blew as if the whole world had frozen. It snowed heavily all day yesterday, and it wasn't until this morning that the snow stopped slightly, but there were still some scattered snowflakes drifting down. Hoof! Hoof! Outside the walls of the Marquis' mansion in Wuhan, a sound of horse hooves sounded, and snowflakes drifted down. Only 6 or 7 galloping horses were seen riding in the wind and whistling towards them. Ha! Stay here, come out quickly. The snow is blocking the mountains, and it's time for hunting. On the horse's back, 2 young men dressed in vigorous attire and luxurious cloaks, exuding a majestic demeanor and walking with bows on their backs. It was none other than Prince Su Yi of Shanhe Marquis and Prince Zhou Xiuan of Yanggubo, as well as a few thin-clad individuals who were fearless in the cold wind, all of whom were skilled guards raised by aristocratic mansions. Everyone galloped on horseback, and when they reached the gate, they pulled the reins and stopped at the entrance. In a moment, Chu Linyang obediently walked out of the side door, covered in brocade. All the snowflakes were dancing around him, but he couldn't get close, and he was very divine. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Encountering Su Qian'an again, seeking recommendation and collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Encountering Su Qian'an again, seeking recommendation and collection. You guys, you can't stay idle. Chu Linyang turned around and ordered, prepare your horses and inform Song to wait at the north gate of the city. Brother Chu, you don't know. We just got the news that today's big Mount Huangshan mountain is going to be visited, but it said that there are demons around. Demons, monsters that can turn into human shapes, I've never seen them before. Su Yi excitedly said. I'm so excited that I haven't seen you before. Even when I see you, I still feel dizzy. Hey, you don't have any hobbies, do you? Chu Linyang chuckled. Damn it, I have a fondness for the two words, girl, and Su Yi's lewd smile. You're hopeless, Boki, why are you so excited? I heard that monsters are quite powerful, I just want to try their depth. Zhou Xiuan's face was innocent and innocent. Chu Linyang had a question mark on his face, thinking that this was not a serious answer. I seriously suspected that you were aggressively stepping on the gas, but I had no evidence. In no time, a horse servant led a sturdy black stallion over. Let's go, let's go. The crowd flipped over and mounted their horses, and the three of them led their troops towards the north gate. Half an hour later, at the entrance of the north city gate, Song Yi has been waiting for a long time to join up with the army, and the crowd sped up along the official road towards the Dahuang Mountains. In the winter suburbs, the sun is warm and hanging, and the sky and earth are one color. The distant mountains and rivers are stacked one after another, and the scenery is magnificent, making people feel relaxed and happy, full of pride. At the end of the day, a group of people came to the Weigu village of Mount Huangshan Mountain. It was a small village built on a hillside. There were dozens of dilapidated houses scattered here and there. At the foot of the mountain, there were several big courtyards. It looked good. It should be the rich people in the village. The main peak of the Dahuang Mountains is more than 1,000 meters high. The mountains stretch for more than 10 miles. There is rich limestone in the mountains. The people nearby live by collecting lime, and Hegu village is no exception. Zhang Lai, go and find the neighborhood chief here, Su Yi instructed. In less than 15 minutes, the guard returned with an old man. The villain, surnamed Zhang, is the chief of Hegu village, Mount Huangshan. The old man saluted somewhat awkwardly and looked at the young gentleman in front of him with high heads, big horses, and luxurious clothes. He carefully asked, I dare to ask a few adults, what do you want me to do? I heard there are monsters around here. Chu Linyang asked casually in a relaxed tone. Yes, sir. It's true that the monsters are fierce and cruel, and many gray households have already lost their lives in the mouths of the monsters. The old man said in an excited tone, I hope you have pity on us. Drive away the monsters. The villains and villagers will be extremely grateful. The people in the village are really helpless. Alright, don't worry, even if we don't see a monster in our eyes, the magistrate of Taikang is also a waste. We can't even deal with a single monster. Hurry up and find someone familiar with the mountains and follow us into the mountains. If we can really catch a monster, I won't hesitate to pay you. Su Yi casually said. In a moment, Li Chang came over with a middle-aged man who looked like a simple, honest man with good limbs and introduced him. Sir, this is Wei Lin. His ancestors have always been people of Hegu village. They learned a little skill in the county since childhood. They usually live by hunting. Speaking of being familiar with Mount Huangshan Mountain, he said that no one would dare to recognize the first. Today, he will lead all the adults into the mountain and believe that they will find the damned monster. Okay, let him take us into the mountain. Everyone tied the reins of the horse at the entrance of the village and plunged into the forest through the village path. They were all young and middle-aged, with extremely fast feet. In no time, they had arrived at a river. The river was not wide, with the widest point only a dozen zhang. The river was gentle, and the surface was sparkling. Gentlemen, this river flows through Mount Huangshan Mountain, and demons often haunt here. Nobody has stayed here since the accident happened. Wei Lin sighed. Search upstream along both sides of the river. Song Yi commanded the guards to take action. It would be great if there were sorcerers from the Celestial Supervisor to help, Su Yi sighed. Wanqi technique can lock in the position of monsters by observing their aura. That's so boring, I still like the feeling of catching prey step by step, Zhou Xiuan said lightly. Suddenly, a constant roar came from the other side of the mountain not far above the river, and everyone hurriedly rushed over and turned over the mountain. I saw 6 people by the river, 3 people upstream and 3 people downstream, accompanied by the sound of explosions, throwing something into the river. Chu Linyang had already known that it was the 6 people who investigated the monster case in the original book when he scanned the river bottom, but no trace of the monster was found. Seeing someone approaching, the 6 people in front immediately drew their swords and half revealed their vigilance, saying, "Who are you and why are you here?" Chu Linyang and his group walked forward, only to see the 3 people in front wearing standard black clothes, with short cloaks hanging behind them, and a bronze gong engraved with complex mantras tied to their chests. They were the 3 people who practiced qi and beat the clock. 3 women and 2 men next to them were dressed in uniforms, with a black background and red rolled edges at the collar and cuffs. They had a majestic divine beast named by an on their chest, and 1 was a constable in the qi refining realm and 2 were constables in the essence refining realm. I said, who wouldn't dare to fry fish here? It turns out they are the night watchmen and the adults of Jingzhou Mansion. What are you adults doing here? Prince Su Yi of Shanhe asked casually. Return the knife and insert it into the sheath. I have seen 3 princes, and under the command of Li Yuchen, a eunuch, Song Tingfeng, a copper gong, is currently performing official duties. Squinting his eyes, Song Tingfeng said first, by the way, this is Gong Zhu Guangxiao. This is the new guard in our yamen, Gong Su Qian'an. Please take good care of us, Crown Prince, in the future. It's easy to say, what kind of official duties do we need to take care of in this wilderness? It's not like capturing that cannibalistic monster, is it? That's not possible. Today, this monster is the meat on our steaming board, and no one wants to snatch food from us. Don't blame this prince for his ugly words. The task we received was indeed related to a demon, but the lower officials don't know if the demon in the crown prince's mouth is the same as the one we want to arrest. However, we are on a mission and the task is never discounted. If it's really the same head, then I'm sorry, Crown Prince. Song Tingfeng said with a smile. Zhu Guangxiao, who was not serious about speaking or laughing next to him, also tightened his knife in his hand. It's really a joke, then you guys should give it a try. I don't believe it anymore. Your Wei Guild is asking me about the Shanhe Marquis mansion for the sake of small monsters. Su Yi and the guards next to Zhou Xiuan also took a step forward together, and the situation instantly became tense. Su Qian'an, we're meeting again. At this moment, Chu Linyang walked up. I have met the Crown Prince of Marquis Wuan, and he has shown great kindness to me. Everyone, please speak up. Su Qian'an was pleasantly surprised and tried to ease the atmosphere by blocking in the middle. Oh, Changlu, does this night watchman have an old relationship with you? Su Yi turned his head to look at Chu Linyang. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Demon Subduing Technique, Seeking Recommendation, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Demon Subduing Technique, Seeking Recommendation, Seeking Collection. Ah, yes. Chu Linyang smiled and suddenly became interested. He decided to help Qian'an promote and publicize more, so that he could have another scene of social death to reminisce about. Previously, there was indeed an intersection due to a small matter, but I really appreciate his talent and lifestyle. Don't underestimate him as just a bronze gong. I'm sure you haven't heard of his fame and must know his poetry. One of the lines, "Don't worry about the future without a confidant. No one in the world knows you, but you are deeply favored by Mr. Jinluo Academy and Princess Chang." A while ago, the Education Bureau produced a masterpiece, with sparse shadows slanting across the clear water and a faint fragrance floating on the moon at dusk. I've heard of it all. It was written by Qian'an, and 2 lines of poetry have become eternal names. Su-yi, you have always wanted to find a master in this field. You really need to consult Qian'an well in this regard. Chu Linyang smiled and said. Really? But a gift of floating fragrance from Shadow Plum Pavilion. Su-yi excitedly stepped forward and grabbed Qian'an's hands. In front of the master, I was blind. It was my faux pas today. Don't blame me, young Master Su. The church office will set up a private room one day and will ask for advice in person. The scene turned into a star-chasing event for Su. Everyone's eyes were staring at Qian'an in confusion. Song Tingfeng looked at his new colleague and thought to himself, it's just that he's good at solving cases. He's also good at writing poetry and looks handsome. He can't compare to him. Hee, why don't we walk in and out of the tea circle together with Su Ningyan in the future? Immediately, he exchanged a glance with Zhu Guangxiao, who frowned and didn't understand the profound meaning in his colleague's eyes. I don't have it, it's not me. Don't talk nonsense. It is expected that Qian'an had a horse galloping past in his heart at that time. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, I have been praised too much. I am not good at poetry, but I have occasionally gained something. In the future, we can learn and communicate together. The task is still urgent now, Qian'an said quickly. The eyes of his colleagues made him feel deeply guilty, as if he was saying that everyone was working hard and unable to get started, but you easily held on to the beautiful woman. Who made me such a low-key and meaningful person? But isn't this Marquis of Wuhan paying too much attention to me? Qian'an felt a little surprised. Since that's the case, we won't fight for this monster anymore. The mission is important, the mission is important. Su-yi smiled as if he had found a close friend in life. If it weren't for the large number of people, he might have just nodded and bowed. We'll just wander around nearby, and if there's any situation, you can send a message to us. After speaking, everyone turned their heads and walked towards the south of the mountain. The monsters were gone, and it's better to fight some wild beasts than to leave empty-handed. More than an hour later, Su-yi bent his bow and arched an arrow, and a pheasant fell to the ground with a whoosh. Su-yi laughed heartily, and the guards quickly gathered up. They saw various wild beasts in their hands, and even a half-sized wild boar, reaping a bountiful harvest. Suddenly, the trees ahead toppled and birds and beasts flew wildly. It seemed like a huge creature was raging in the forest, coming straight towards us. A few people were chasing behind, shouting from a distance, "You can't let it run away, hurry up." Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a monster that was 2 zhang long and covered in thick armor, resembling a salamander. It had many wounds all over its body and was on a desperate run. Monsters are cultivators in the realm of refining gods, running recklessly without stopping ordinary people. Song-yi, I want to live. Yes, young master. Before he could finish speaking, in the eyes of everyone who were shocked, Song-yi's footsteps turned slightly and drifted to the front of the monster. With lightning speed, he waved a fist and silently hit the monster's head. The monster stood still in vain and then flew backwards like a rocket, smashing a row of tree trunks before its momentum suddenly came to an end. The monster fell to the ground, its armor shattered, blood flowed like a pillar, and it was on the verge of death. The danger perception of the demon refining mirror was completely ineffective. This is the 5th grade martial artist who knows his body like the palm of his hand, perfectly controls his own power, and doesn't waste a single bit. Young master, I used my strength a bit too much. I didn't expect this monster to be so weak, Song Yi said in silence. He just used a regular punch, okay. It's not a problem. Oh my, Changlu. I should take care of this monster myself, it's a pity. I can't bully the weak anymore with this look. Su Yi beside him was heartbroken, as if he had missed out on some legendary achievement. And the guards beside him looked gratefully at Chu Linyang. They didn't know their young master's skills yet, and if nothing happened, they would be grateful. The pursuers behind the talking monster have also rushed to the scene. It was Su Qian'an and others. Everyone was bleeding and embarrassed, but fortunately it didn't seem to be a big deal. Watching the pitiful appearance of the monster, Su Qian'an felt pain for it. Is the 5th grade warrior so strong? Eye contact, squinting to understand, nodding to indicate where to go. Su Qian'an took a cold breath. This world is too dangerous. I have only just entered the 8th grade, and I don't know if it's time for me to reach the 5th grade. I must hurry up and practice when I go back. But martial arts are what I desire, and listening to music on Golan is also what I desire. It's uncomfortable to have both at the same time. Thank you very much, Crown Prince Wuan. Watching the monster breathe a sigh of relief, Song Tingfeng and others breathed a deep breath and took out a pill to feed the monster, preventing it from being seriously injured and bleeding to death. Crown Prince, look at this monster. At this moment, the group of demon hunters were embarrassed. They were still promising that there was no problem ahead, but in the end, they relied on the monster captured by someone else. Chu Linyang is still very articulate. Su Qian'an, take this monster and it won't be of much use to me. Su Qian'an's eyebrows and eyes twitched and he understood. As for me, I owe another favor. I don't have too much debt to bear, so I owe it for now. If I ask you to go to the Jiaofang office to fight a T-circle twice and then even it out, will you be hammered into a dog's head? Looking at Song Da, who is 9 feet tall and ordinary next to him, I still put this idea aside. Weakness is the original sin. Langxing replied, the Crown Prince's great kindness is unforgettable. I would rather go to the banquet to repay him by going through fire and water. It's not that serious, just have a heart. Chu Linyang smiled with a clear breeze on his face. No demands are the greatest demands, I'm afraid my small body won't hold up, Su Qian'an muttered inwardly. Afterwards, there was a performance by the village chief of Hegu in the original work, which made everyone feel embarrassed. Hunter Wei Lin also received a reward of 20 taels and was sent back to the village with the village chief by a constable. The remaining people will adjust their breathing in place, restore their physical strength, replenish water and food. On the way back, everyone was walking together. Su Yi, Su Qian'an, and Mimi Yan were whispering incomprehensible words, sometimes whispering, sometimes laughing, and their minds were taken away. What kind of posture and move were you in front of me, back of me, up and down of me, what kind of posture and move were you? Ha, 3 spicy chicken rookies practicing chi. As they chatted and laughed, they saw a group of people walking from the street, gathering towards the official road. To express gratitude for eradicating the monsters, the village chief and villagers presented all the eggs in the village. Looking at the yellow and skinny faces, Zhu Men's wine and meat smell bad, and there are frozen bones on the road. Oh, this world. Chu Linyang appears calm on the surface, but his heart is full of ups and downs. Su Qian'an silently accepted it and remained silent all the way. Returning to the capital, the demon was hanged by the pill and received by the white servants of the government office. It was then locked in a cage, loaded onto a cart, covered with black cloth, and finally entered the city. Su Qian'an and the others wanted to return to the watchman's yamen to report, so everyone said goodbye. Su Qian'an, and narrowed-eyed Song Tingfeng bid farewell and have already become brothers. The three of them shouted. Brother Su, Ning Yan, this matter is not insignificant. Don't forget our agreement. Squinting his eyes, Song Tingfeng said with a serious expression on his face. No, Brother Su, Brother Song, come to the Marquis's mansion anytime and anywhere to find me. A lot of people make it lively. When the time comes, everyone around me will be my confidants, I promise there will be no mistakes, ho 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 ho. Su couldn't help but laugh out a pig's cry. Yeah, it's agreed. We still need to consolidate our Beijing Iron Triangle. Su Qian'an uttered a famous quote. Ha ha ha. Zhou Xiuan and Zhu Guangxiao frowned and left without looking back. Hey, wait for us. The Iron Triangle was buzzing in its mouth and quickly chased after it. The next day, Ho's mansion, Qingbo Academy. Chu Linyang lay lazily in the bathtub, studying the system with his eyes closed. Behind him, Qian'an, with a spring-like expression in her eyebrows and eyes, was wearing a light purple and gorgeous long dress, massaging and rubbing her shoulders. Thank you for the recommendation and collection from the book friends. Thank you very much. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Impossible Mindlessness, Seeking Recommendation, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Impossible Mindlessness, Seeking Recommendation, Seeking Collection. The monster event system is not awesome this time, and the distortion has only increased by 1/10,000th. It should not be. Finally, it was Song who captured the monster alive. The most important thing was that Su Qian'an did not take out his big treasure. Without the big treasure, the constable surnamed LV would not have developed any admiration for Su Qian'an. Therefore, Su Qian'an was missing a beautiful confidant. Such an important change would not be excessive. Chu Linyang appeared calm on the surface and felt indignant inside. Sigh, it's not enough to make a fuss. We still need to make a big deal and strive for a wave of fat. At this moment, he felt news coming from the fragments of the Earth book, and after recognizing the owner, there was an inexplicable connection between him and the Earth book. Take out the jade and stone small mirror. What was displayed on the mirror was the conversation between the third Su Qian'an and the ninth Purple Lotus Taoist. A small coin, an old coin. Can't resist the shining stars of the little coin. Old coin, you're not complaining about your death, so go with peace of mind. Flipping their hands and putting away their books, picking up Qian'an, we chatted until midnight and fell asleep together. The next day at Maoshe, after talking for too long yesterday, Qian'an was exhausted and still sleeping soundly. Chu Linyang put on his clothes and went to the practice room, feeling refreshed and clear-headed. His thoughts were clear, and he thought that it would be better not to practice at this moment. Immediately, the bull demon vigorously punched, turned to the tiger demon to practice bone fist, then turned to the spirit turtle breathing technique, and finally the dragon elephant technique seal. Over and over again, I forgot about things, as if I had thoughts or no thoughts, but my body still punched, as if entering a completely natural cycle of yin and yang. Gradually, Chu Linyang's divine soul detached itself and floated in the air, while his body did not stop moving due to the detachment of the divine soul, but continued to move, completely mysterious to the extreme. The feeling of being detached from Shen Nian was completely different, and Chu Linyang knew that he had entered the state of unable to be mindless, that martial artists in the Yang God yearned for the most. Practicing martial arts in this state, the cultivation of physical martial arts is countless times better than any other state. Buddha says that one cannot be without thoughts, while immortals say that the Tao is natural. Chu Linyang naturally envisioned the past of the Maitreya Sutra with his divine soul. His divine soul remained unchanged, as if there were no more calamities to shake. He had already clearly sensed an invisible barrier between life and death, and by breaking through this barrier, he could become a ghost immortal. From now on, we can seize and live forever. In the past, there were 5 demon god kings in the secret method of divine soul attack in the Maitreya Sutra. One was the Yiksha king, the other was the Rakshasa king, the third was the Shura king, the fourth was the Diamond king, and the fifth was the destruction of the Ming king. Except for the destruction of the Ming king, the other 4 have all been subdued. Now, the thought moves like an arm directing. Once you break through the ghost immortal, you can imagine the destruction of the Ming king. When the 5 demon god kings come out together, it will be another great weapon. Suddenly, the spirit of Chu Linyang returned to his body, stopping his boxing movements. His qi and blood boiled, his muscles and bones resonated, his skin and flesh trembled, and his body had been polished to a true perfection. There was no possibility of further improvement, only the breaking mirror martial saint. And the essence has also been fully developed, waiting for the divine soul to condense, transform from emptiness to reality, and the holy fetus to form a baby. Today's harvest was too great, laying the strongest foundation for breaking through human immortals and thunder-robbing ghost immortals in the future. With his current state of mind, he couldn't help but feel full of joy. Name: Chu Linyang, word length left, current main world. Dafeng Dagon world. Zhongqian world, bound, realm. Master of marrow practice, perfection, body attachment, Deshang, orifices. Essence element uprising, Deshang, cultivation method. Floating light sweeping shadow body method, Decheng, present Tathagata Sutra, beginner level, past Maitreya Sutra, beginner level, martial arts true meaning. Dominating the present, invincible Qian'an, prototype, perfect cultivation method summary, items. 8,200 taels of silver, 600 taels of gold, blood steel Yuanyang sword, cleansing robe, several pills, distortion of world destiny 0.06%, 6,000 new source points added daily, Zhu Tian Wanjia Mall. Yangshan world has been connected, other searches are ongoing, shuttle through the heavens and boundaries. Not enabled, requires 100,000 source points to activate, source point. 45,000, it's time to exchange the earth element spirit pill. After resting for a few days and adjusting to its peak, you can break through the martial saint. Then, use the martial saint's qi and blood to nourish the divine soul, martial saint, and ghost immortal double breakthrough. But why are your hands so itchy today? I really want to have a sparring with a master, who can distinguish between high and low, as well as determine life and death. Western regions Buddhism. No, there are too many Buddhist masters who can attack both physically and magically. They have no advantage and are not seeking abuse. They will go to the human immortal realm in the future. Northern Shamanism. This is okay, there are 2 or 3 big cats and 2 small cats. The only first grade has to guard the territory and cannot come out. The only second grade is still sealed and eating in prison, and there are 2 third grades left. What's the point of using big to deceive small? It's mainly too far away. Is it not good to take a bath? After much thought, I'll just grit my teeth and forget it. If I have nothing else to do, let's go take a bath. No, you can't be such a salty fish. Just now, the 9th Purple Lotus Taoist had another meeting with Su Qian'an. It should have fallen into the trap set by Wei Yuan. Purple Lotus is a weak chicken and boring. But the Golden Gong and Yang Yen that exploded the Purple Lotus seem to be pretty good. They are the pinnacle martial artists of the 4th grade and have understood the meaning of the spear, which can be considered as the ceiling of early martial arts. Just him, I picked it myself and it's not a loss. Guiyue Tower, between Wanfeng and Mingya. The owner of the Earth Book, played by the man in black, a death row inmate, was cut off by a man dressed as a martial artist, his consciousness plunged into darkness, and his mind full of inner monologues still couldn't match the ordinary blow of others. The Jianluo guest dressed up as a man and completed the task by riding a horse out of the city, galloping along the official road for over an hour. Behind him was the hidden tracking of the Golden Gong and Yang Yan, hoping to cast a long line to catch a big fish. Even further away, Chu Linyang's mind moved and attached itself to the Jianluo guest and Yang Yan, hanging far behind with his senses. Suddenly, at the end of the road ahead, there appeared a tea house with 3 old tables. The tea seller is an old man with gray hair, sitting at the table drinking tea. It is the Purple Lotus Taoist who has already been possessed by the Earth sect, and the 5th grade golden elixir realm of the sect. The Tao Gate is based on the primordial spirit, and it is because Yang Yan, who had already discovered the hanging figure behind him, was well aware. Without saying a word, before the person arrived, the Qi machine had already shot a sharp arrow at Purple Lotus. As for the martial artist, these were just 3 axes. Zilian waved her hand casually, and before the Jianluo guest could react, she flew backwards and collided with a sharp Qi machine. With a loud bang, it exploded into pieces on the spot. At this moment, Chu Linyang had also arrived nearby, hiding in mid-air and looking ahead. He saw 2 people on the opposite side standing opposite each other, their swords drawn and crossbows tense. On the left is the enchanted Purple Lotus Taoist, with gray hair and an old man-like appearance, but he still looks quite kind. On the right is the Jinluo Yang Yan, with a very serious and slightly stiff expression. There is really no emotion to be seen. This kind of person is true and doesn't talk too much. Everyone will avoid this kind of person in the future if they can. Otherwise, the losses will be small, and the losses will be great. Thank you to Book Friends for recommending and collecting. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Jinluo, I want to hit 10. Seeking recommendation, seeking collection, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Jinluo, I want to hit 10. Seeking recommendation, seeking collection, the 2 of them had a disagreement and were bound to see each other in terms of military strength. Taoist Zilian's emotions changed at any moment, and the expression on his face changed very clearly. In an instant, his body was engulfed in flames, blocking the sky and the sun. But Jinluo and Yang Yan frowned and remained expressionless to the end. In an instant, the Purple Lotus Taoist in front of him immediately rose up and trapped Yang Yan in the prepared formation. The black smoke in the formation was endless and could directly attack the human spirit, grinding Yang Yan to death if he wanted to live. But as a 4th grade martial artist, he comprehended the embryonic form of the Tao, which is the initial application of rules. It was not easy to reconcile. Yang Yan remained motionless like a mountain, with his copper skin and iron bones hard connected to the 2 blood-colored lightning bolts of the Purple Lotus Taoist, like a gentle breeze brushing his face, without pain or itching. The next second, the gun came, and a bright silver meteor flashed across the sky, causing the formation to burst. A silver spear fell into Yang Yan's hand, and with the combination of the human and spear shots, it shot like a dragon and stabbed towards the Purple Lotus Taoist. The intention of the spear was locked in front of him, making it impossible to dodge. Even if Purple Lotus Taoist tried his best to spit out his own life's golden pill to resist, he was powerless to turn it back into powder. The golden pill, along with his body, turned into powder. The silver light burst out hundreds of zhang, piercing through a hill. Zilian Taoist is completely a praying mantis, why bother coming? Let Zilian, the Yin God, go with him. If both the form and spirit are destroyed like in the original work, it would be fate. After completing the task, Jinluo and Yang Yan bent down to pick up the jade and stone small mirror, carried a silver gun, and turned towards the direction of the capital. Brother, please stay. Suddenly, a gentle and clear voice came from behind Yang Yan. Yang Yan's body stiffened, and a cold sweat broke out all over his body. A few yards behind him came a pleasant sentence, but he felt cold all over. As a 4th grade martial artist, every detail within a few tens of zhang of his surroundings will vividly appear in his mind. However, when a person appears within a few zhang, he has no idea at all. If it were an enemy, he may have already been killed on the spot. Yang Yan slowly turned around and held the long spear in his hand, with the head slightly tilted downwards. He replied, "Who are you and what's up?" At first glance, there stood a young man standing quietly, dressed in white and with black hair. His appearance seemed to be real and illusory, with a faint luster flowing on his skin. His eyes sparkled like glass, and his temperament was elegant, as if it were blowing up the 9 heavens with the wind, leaving a deep impression on people. "Please forgive me, brother. I just happened to pass by and see your martial arts skills are extraordinary, like a demon or a god. I was itching for a moment and wanted to spar with you for a while. That's all. What do you think, brother? What a lunatic. Sorry, I still have something important to attend to. I apologize for not being able to accompany you." Yang Yan said expressionless and wanted to turn around before leaving. "Slow down, brother. I have a big secret here, let's take it as the highlight of our sparring. Regardless of whether we win or lose, I will tell you what to do." Yang Yan remained indifferent, no nonsense secret. The most important thing in his heart was always Wei Yuan's command, let alone the meaningless thing of sparring with others, which made him completely uninterested, unless it was a life-or-death battle. Are Wei Yuan's adopted sons such timid people? Chu Linyang continued to provoke Yang Yan to death. "So you came prepared?" Yang Yan's figure suddenly stopped and said coldly. In the next moment, Yang Yan rushed towards him with a silver spear, his body slightly turning, his arm driving the spear straight towards him. Shua, the gun pierced through the air and made a whistling sound, forming a spiral aura as the gun advanced forward. Chu Linyang shouted, "All right." He drew an arc under his feet, his body shining like a shadow. He flickered and moved to Yang Yan's side, punching him straight. Pound! The air was forcefully blasted, the waves of air dissipated, and dust flew in. With a punch, it hit the sun. Yang Yan remained unmoved as he watched the fierce punch, stirring his qi machine to forcefully receive it. The qi machine dispersed, and Chu Linyang was also shaken back. Yang Yan continued to attack, took a step forward, swung his long spear, and launched a challenge from bottom to top. Chu Linyang once again punched and fought hard, each retreating 100 zhang. Suddenly, fist shadows flew and gun shadows alternated, flashing up and down. Within 100 zhang range, the air exploded one by one, as if a wave of towering waves were rising, and they fought fiercely. What kind of martial arts did this person practice? Why couldn't he sense his qi? Yang Yan's face remained unchanged, but he was secretly surprised. In his youth, after hundreds of moves, Chu Linyang's body shook and suddenly bounced away after colliding. He thought to himself, this place is only a few dozen miles away from the capital, and there is already a lot of movement. It's possible that some experts are on their way, so fight quickly and make a quick decision. Chu Linyang stepped forward, leaped into mid-air, raised his hands, and formed a complex fist print. He imagined the strongest power of the Tathagata in his mind and exclaimed, "Tathagata Palm, great thousand seals." With this punch, the whole world seemed to be suppressed, and all colors, light, smells, sounds, and so on lost their color, becoming invisible, inaudible, and their thoughts and consciousness seemed to disappear. Yang Yan's face changed greatly, and he could no longer control his soul. He felt the breath of death spreading over him, and there was no way to hide. He had to stir up all the energy, and the gun met a sharp shot aimed at the fist mark, invincible in 100 battles, and advancing forward. His heart seemed to have merged with the silver gun. With a loud bang, the two met, and their fist prints were like a broken bamboo. Yang Yan's gun intention was shattered, his qi was destroyed, and the silver gun was even thrown out from afar. The middle gate was already wide open, and life and death were at stake. Yang Yan closed his eyes, knowing that he was powerless to turn back to the heavens. "Father, take care." But the fist seal bypassed Yang Yan and hit the ground behind him, as if it had been hit by a missile. A large pit appeared on the ground, with a radius of nearly 30 zhang and a depth of several zhang. At the edge of the big pit, Yang Yan's hands trembled and his soul was still in shock. What situation really stopped there? His face finally changed. He had never felt such a terrifying meaning before, as if the whole world was about to be wiped away by an absolutely powerful force. The world was shattered, and all things did not exist. The remaining thoughts were still lingering around and in Yang Yan's heart, not daring to recall. When Yang Yan can dispel the lingering thoughts in his heart, his gun intent will be able to take it to the next level. At this moment, Chu Linyang had drifted away and left a sentence. It's an honor to have a sparring with my brother today. Go back and tell Wei Yuan, be careful of the late Emperor Jinluo. Who exactly is this person? Their strength is only one line away from the extraordinary realm. We need to report to Duke Wei immediately. Yang Yan stood for a moment with a solemn expression on his face, then retrieved the silver spear and adjusted it. He quickly recovered and, after a moment of contemplation, spread out his body movements and quickly ran towards the capital along the official road. Halfway through, a group of people rushed towards the direction of the capital, galloping their horses and raising a trail of smoke and dust behind their hooves. As both sides approached, Yang Yan discovered that it was the group of watchmen who had received news and rushed to provide support. Brother Yang, everything is fine. My adoptive father is waiting, let's go. The person in charge was Nangong Qianluo, another Ro son of Wei Yuan, who breathed a sigh of relief and said, Yang Jinluo. All the watchmen saluted in unison. Let's go, go back. Yang Yan's face turned slightly white and he said expressionlessly. End of this chapter.